All right, episode 40 of the War Room. We have Brian and our new King of Ohio, Brady Allen. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
We're not going to get a video feed of Brady here. This is what happens when you get a bunch of Derby guys together trying to do technology. But we got the audio.
I think what happened is his newly hired agent wouldn't let us have video of him. So
Yeah.
Is that what it is? We're dealing with agents these days?
No, I'm not very good at technology, as you can see, but at least you can hear my voice.
So Brady, what you purchased anything with all your money? What are you doing with all your money?
We had some bills that needed to be paid from just getting to the show, but we still have quite a few left over. But we got to save that to be able to go to Bristol because that's going to be an expensive venture just getting there and just while being there too. So can't spend it all right now.
No, it's not burning a hole in your pocket yet.
Not yet.
That's a lot of money, and congratulations to you on that. We're gonna get into the Bristol stuff here in a little bit, but first thing, man, you just won the largest first place prize in the country. I know you guys have been chasing this for a while. There's almost a story of like two journeys here that I want to go down, and the one is chasing the big one, for you guys and the family, and then also the build up to the show. So can you walk us through what this victory meant? And before you do that, let me show a video just to remind everyone of the emotion, after your win here. We were fortunate enough.
Emotions are high here. Brady Allen going home $40,000. Bridger. John Rutherford second.
So yeah, that video is first off one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. But I think that video shows how much Demolition Derby and how much family means to us. And like you said, we've been chasing a big money derby for a long time, and we finished second and third multiple times, and just couldn't get over that hump. And just when you feel that you can't get over the hump, then it happens. So it was definitely it was almost kind of a relief because you didn't know if you would ever get it, and just very proud of all the guys that helped. I didn't win that derby; we all won that derby through the guys helping the week before and prior and while at the track. I can't thank those guys enough.
Did it get to the point where you were wondering, or you were really wondering if you were going to win a big one?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, we've failed so many times. Of which second and third big money shows is a big accomplishment. But we're chasing the big one. We're chasing to win. That's what we're there. That's what we're there to do. And like I said, it just when you didn't think it would happen, it happened.
What was the conversation? Did that ever get brought up in the shop or amongst you and Devon, or did you guys? I mean, was it just like an elephant in the room that no one talked about?
Kind of, but we're not quitters, and we will never give up. Until we're chasing of what we're trying to get, and I think that's one thing that my dad instilled into us is work ethic, and if you want something, you can't give up, and you got to keep working at it.
Have you ever seen Sean, your dad, that emotional?
It's been a long time, but it was very very cool to see, and just showed how proud of not only me, but like I said, my brother and all of us. He was very proud, but we were all very proud.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, I couldn't even personally, I couldn't even walk over to the car because it was a reminder of the year prior of just how emotional like Victory Lane got with JT and those guys, and it was emotional with you guys. And I have to keep the show going, right?
Sure.
So I couldn't really partake in the emotion. So I had to personally, I had to walk away. I walked up to the car and then I just had to walk away because it was a very emotional time and very deserving of you guys. To have that moment.
Well, I appreciate it. And, we've won, quite a few derbies, but nothing has ever matched that one. So, and we all did it together. That's what the cool thing is.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I was just say, hey, we, during the week prior to that, Dustin and I had stopped into, what was that? I always get this name of this restaurant wrong.
QP. Yep.
Yeah, where a medium is not really a medium. But you guys were taking a break from working on the cars and just having some lunch there. Your shop's just down the road. Just talk a little bit about, and people may not know this yet, but talk a little bit about some of the obstacles you guys had to just overcome just to get the cars ready to even be there.
Yeah. So as many of you know, we ran the Bash Memorial Day weekend. And we had not really started on the King cars prior to that. So we had basically 16 days to build these cars. And week of the Derby, it was that Monday or Tuesday, we saw you guys at QP. And a semi-truck happened to hit a big power line about 100 yards from our shop, shut the power down all day. So we had to come in that night and work. And then Thursday night, the day before the Derby, we had put my motor in. About 10 o'clock, we were getting ready to start it and heard some noise that you don't want to hear. And I was ready to give up and I was throwing the towel in. But, the guys that were there that helped us, changed my mind and we all did it together. We pulled that motor out, pulled the motor that my Uncle Ryan ran at the Bash, pulled his motor out, swapped cradles, got it back into my car, and by that time it was 8:30 in the morning and we had to move on to inspection. Ran the heats on Friday night, won the heats, got a few hours worth of sleep, and then Saturday we worked all day and went to drive Devon's car or something, and the transmission just wasn't feeling right. And, with that much money, we weren't going to risk anything. So we ended up pulling that tranny out, putting a new one in. So that was another all-nighter. But, yeah, so there's definitely a lot of obstacles. But definitely can't thank my dad, uncle, brother Devon. And then we have some really good friends with Tim Seitz, Zane Fugate, Travis Nichols, and Justin Dre that helped tremendously just to even get us there. Because if it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't even been running.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing you guys at the restaurant. Just seeing the looks on your faces of how tired you guys were, and then of course that video that we just watched. The emotion pouring out, the exhaustion on everybody's faces. You look back on something like that even now after getting a chance to let it sit for a little while and hit a little bit. Does that seeing a video like that, does that just make it hit even harder? How big a deal it is. Yeah,
it does. And like I said, Thursday night, I was ready to throw in the towel. And then you fast forward, 3 days and see that video and feel the emotions. It was all worth it in the end. And we made a commitment to run that show. But when things aren't going well, it's hard to, and especially on a time crunch, it's hard to move on and, still try and figure out another way to make it to this Derby. And, but yeah, it was definitely all worth it. And, it all goes back to those guys. I can't thank those guys enough.
That video has over almost, right at 500,000 views.
That's wild.
And that's pretty impressive from just a Facebook post. That wasn't even a reel. That was just an organic in the moment post, and that's nothing. That's no, we didn't boost it or anything.
Sure.
I mean, that's just organic emotion that has captured a lot of people's attention.
Yeah, and being in these cars is very emotional, and when you're haven't been to sleep in close to 50 hours, and when you win that, emotions are definitely going to fly. And but yeah, very, very proud moment, and very cool to look back on that video.
Brady, talk to us a little bit about the type of adversity. Like, how do you guys overcome this? How do you build cars in 2 weeks? Adversity strikes, and you guys really, I mean, you guys have done this a lot, and still perform at the level of your competitors who are well rested, who didn't run into, a power outage or a motor problem. How are you able to keep everything together? Is that a culture that you guys have established? How does that work?
Yeah, and I think that's with growing up in sports and stuff, and our work ethic. But the best thing about it is for the most part, it's my dad, my brother, and my uncle in the shop, and we don't fight very much, which is very hard to find, and we enjoy being around each other and doing something together. But yeah, when times get tough, it's kind of put your head down and just keep grinding, even when it's not fun, because it's sometimes it's fun, but when it's when you're getting tired and on a time crunch, things aren't fun. But you got to put your head down and keep grinding.
Who's the ringleader that keeps it all together?
Probably Dad. I'd say Dad. He has the right words to say at every moment. That's something we definitely admire and appreciate.
Well, from afar, it's pretty impressive, and the fact that you guys can operate at such a high level, and be there over and over and over, and knock on the door over and over. I mean, you just won the largest paying individual show in the entire country. That's insane. That's crazy.
Definitely hard to wrap your head around it. But the other thing is too, in the shop, we never have to look over each other's shoulders. Dad has a project, Devon has a project, I have a project, Ryan has a project, and we can all move at a high, kind of a fast-paced level, but also not cut any corners and not have to recheck somebody's work. And I think that's big in the shop of, when you do it, it's done right.
It feels like you guys are establishing a team before it's maybe been widely accepted that demolition derbies, have teams of guys, that you guys have kind of filled those roles and established that. And it obviously shows on the track with your guys' success.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Brian, you got something?
Yeah. So, Brady, obviously, being from Ohio myself, being around the county fair circuit, I've seen you and Devon and your dad and your uncle run quite a bit. You guys run a lot of the same shows that I run. Not in the same class, of course, but seeing you guys at that county fair level, and then rise to the occasion to the magnitude that you just did, as not only an individual, but as you put it, kind of a team that you guys are all together in this together. Where do you feel like that takes you guys into the future, and what are the next goals?
I don't know. I think we keep doing what we're doing and enjoying it. I think that's a big key. You got to enjoy the process, but enjoy demolition derbies, because it's easy to get burnt out. But I think the goal is continue to go into every show with confidence, but with the ability and capability of winning, or bringing a car that's capable of winning. You're not going to win every show, and but yeah, I think so. I think that just keep the mindset that we have, and just kind of go from show to show, and just keep enjoying it.
Brady, I want to take it back to the first year at King of Ohio. It's funny because obviously we've known each other for quite a while now, but even when I had first put on King of Ohio, which was 4 years ago, and we heard about the favorites that we were on my end, that we were playing with you guys, and the fact that it took you 4 years to win it.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, the first year you guys didn't make the feature. You or Devon did make the feature, and
Right.
you've made it 3 years since. You're the only people to ever make it 3 consecutive years, or even 3 years at all. And we're going to put out a flyer, a little demographic of probably tomorrow, of you and your brother at the top, leading the way in format victories. Can you walk us through like what it's been like on your end of that conversation? I remember when we talked, I said, "Look, you guys are good enough to win this, 3 or 4 years in a row," and you almost did. If you reflect back on those past 2 years, can you give us some reflection on that?
Yeah, definitely. The first year was not our year. We had Devon and I both had some problems, and Dad ended up making the feature. But fast forwarding to the next year. We got third and fourth. Then last year we got second and third. But with the past 2 years, you're so close. You can. It makes you very upset that you didn't get it done. But fast forward another year, you get even closer. And then finally this year we were able to get it done. But the format can it can go either way. We've been on, like I said, we've been on the winning side and the losing side, and the heats are very difficult. They're very hard to win because everybody that's running this show is at a very high level and builds very, very good cars. So and in the feature, there's 12 other cars out there. I think that could have went either way. That could have went 12 different ways. But luckily I was able to get it this year.
Did you feel, obviously you've been there every year. Have you felt the competition level go up and up and up? Did this year feel different? What was it like compared to the previous years?
Yeah, I think, and I think that's kudos to you because you've had high competition of high, named drivers every year. But with this year, you had with Chad Markley coming from out west, and some other big name drivers that haven't ran the show, or that we've never run against. So, and we like competition. We like running against guys that we haven't ran against. And but yeah, the competition is definitely there.
Yeah, speak to competition in this sport a little bit, Brady. And why it's important, and what the transition from what we're used to seeing on the track for the last 30, 40, 50 years of Demolition Derby, why the format and why real competition adds that much more value to this sport that we all love.
I think the biggest thing that has changed in the last, since I've been running, is the cars, especially anymore with the way the back ends are set up. You can only hit, certain spots of the car. And, that makes you think as a driver, and makes you think, at least for us, makes us think every move, has got to count. And, but yeah, I think that's a big part of it. But, I think that with other guys coming from, all different states, it provides a, competition that, they've seen, but maybe we haven't seen. And they're bringing that to us. And so I think it's very cool.
Yeah, from our end, it seemed that, I think I told Brian this. I said, I there's no way I can get back in a car and run against these guys, because they're just, when we sit there and watch you guys, in the booth, obviously I got like a bird's eye view of everything, and we're not really watching the Derby. We're more calling it, but if you're on the headset, you hear me say that all the time, but it's an inside joke. So we don't get to really watch it, but we get to experience it. And you guys, it feels like you guys are just becoming better and better. And that like that show displayed another level of competitiveness that has yet to be tapped into. And I hope there's 2 or 3 more rungs that we can get to, because just it seemed very special. The weekend seemed special.
Yeah, and we're always we love to learn on the track, and even going back to watch tapes, we're very hard on ourselves, but we watch other people too. Of maybe we made a mistake, this time, but this guy's over here is doing something different that we like. And every derby is different, so I think you take a little bit from each derby and try and be better at the next one. But yeah, I think a lot of it is you got to watch tape and critique yourself, but look at other people too.
Yeah, to that end, to that in that same frame of mind right there, if you could say, something to these youth drivers out there. Now, there's a lot of different youth programs, youth heats, but something that I kind of noticed myself personally is that I don't really see a lot of learning going on in driving, and I think a lot of that's because the preparation and the after derby critique and that's where the real learning is to me, because that's how I learn. I get ready for a show, I run it, and then I critique what happened on the track afterwards, and then I watch other guys like guys like you, guys like your brother, and there's a whole list of them, of like guys who are successful consistently, and I see, okay, this is what I should be doing because it's a good formula and it's a successful formula. So if you could impart some wisdom onto these youth drivers as a champion, as a champion now, whether you have grasped it or not, or accepted it or not, it's the truth. You stand alone. You're on that pedestal by yourself right now, and that's earned. What would you say to those youth drivers out there going, I want to get to that level too?
I think a lot of it is you got to get in the shop and you got to work. And like I said, watching film is a big part of it, but you got to also have seat time and different situations thrown at you. But I think a lot of it is in the shop. And Brian, I'm sure you're the same way, and Dustin, you're the same way. We're still finding things that we've been doing this for a long time, but something may bend a little bit different here, something may break, and you thought you had something figured out, and it didn't work that time. But the only way you're going to find that out is you got to be in the shop, before, and then you got to work on it afterwards, and finding, part failures, or, the way a car bends. You don't want it to bend a certain way. But it all comes with experience and different situations thrown at you.
It seems like, you guys going forward with what has been formed with Demo and the SRDB, team and everything there, that, you guys are going to be leading the way of the sport, and kind of setting the example and laying the path of how you become a professional combat motorsports driver. Have you guys thought about that? Has that really kicked in yet?
I don't think it's really kicked in yet. I think we're just going to keep trying to do what we've been doing, and I think leading by example. Not only on the track but off the track. I think that for the most part we have really good sportsmanship, or try to, even when emotions get high. But I don't think it's really has totally set in yet, to be honest with you.
I want to reel it back in. Just go back just a little bit. Something came to mind. Did you know how close you were to losing a wheel at
No, I didn't. And you can't tell in the car. And yeah, I mean, honestly, probably 2 or 3 years ago, or prior to that, the wheel would have came off. But somehow luck was on my side, and any given moment that could have came off. When I see that, when I got out of the car, I was shocked. But thank God it stayed together.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Like, I got a chance to sit and kind of watch it more than Dustin did, just because, I'd been in the DTV booth for most of the weekend, and I said, you know what? I'm not missing this heat. I told him, I said, I'm not missing this heat. I'm going to watch this heat. So I got to sit around with, like Tori Schutte, our Hard Nosed podcast guys, Derek Bay Miller, Steven Adams, and we were just watching you perform. And all I kept hearing those guys say was, that dude's a wheelman. He's a wheelman. Like, just the moves you were executing, how you were getting into the throttle, getting off the throttle, turning the car, moving the car. You know, did you feel like you were in a zone that you hadn't been in yet?
Yeah. But the only thing, reeling back a little bit, the only thing I did feel, I think Chad Markley, I put myself in a bad position. I think Chad Markley hit me in the wheel, passenger front, and I thought the wheel laid over just a little bit, and I couldn't turn right all the way. So, you know, every time I would come down and, you know, try and do a donut left, because I didn't want to try and do a 3 or 4 point turn. You know, by that time they would, you know, get another shot on me. But yeah, I think that's probably the only thought that I had of what was going wrong. But yeah, at any time that thing could have came off. But yeah, I felt like I was in a zone pretty much the whole time. You don't really have time to think. You just have you have time to react. And that was kind of my reaction.
Well, I think you and I can both agree that when you're able to perform like that on the track, because we all know if you're a driver, it's chaos out there. It's just everything's fast, you know, and you're just reacting to what you see. And that's where skill takes over, right? That's where instinct and skill take over. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me, watching it, I was just thoroughly impressed with what I saw. Not only from you, from everybody in that feature. It was just a really highly skilled group of drivers performing, and
yeah,
you don't get that at every show, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was definitely fun to be in, but I'm sure it was really fun to watch, because as a driver, you had to think about every move and really know where everybody was at on the track, and that gets hard to do. But yeah, I mean, all those guys out there were very, very capable of winning, and it could have, if you have that Derby tonight, it could go a different way.
Yeah, that's what makes it special, right? Is you never know. It could go 100 different ways or 12 different ways, right? And I mean, there was just some tough competition out there. If you think about who you beat, with Rutherford getting second, and who has multiple $10,000 wins. Obviously, Markley's resume speaks for itself and what he's been able to accomplish. I mean, Markley came off the big 3 heat, which went against last year's champ, right? And Pete. So, you know, he had momentum, and you were able to get the job done, man. It's really, really cool. It was really, really cool to see those guys and everyone there, you know, for the past 4 years, build this stage up to where this was a very meaningful Derby, and it meant a lot for you guys to win. I mean, this just isn't like, hey man, you won. Here's the check. Let's start cleaning the track up. I mean, you know, we do the whole shebang there, and it really feels like that's starting to come into its own thing. Like people are really starting to appreciate that. Can you talk us through not getting out of the car and the drive to victory lane?
Yeah, first off, the celebration in victory lane is very, very cool, because you don't get to see that or get to do that at any other show the way you do it. But I think, you know, when the checkered flags flow, and then you've seen the video of Dad and Devon and the rest of the guys coming out, I think is more of a relief and kind of an exhaustion too, because we were dead tired. I was dead tired in the car. But, you know, driving to victory lane and pulling in the building and seeing all those guys there, you know, clapping and cheering, made it even more special, because, you know, it felt like we all won, you know, with all the guys that helped on the crew. It was a very, very proud moment of, you know, we finally got the chip off our back, and, you know, finally got it done. And we, like I said, we did it together.
You know, you said something pretty cool there, and I think the videos are pretty telling of how special that relationship you guys have within your own team, and then obviously everyone that comes to help, because it did look, and it did appear, and it did feel like everybody did win.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just your win.
Yeah.
There wasn't like Devon, you know, hating over the corner, or Sean or Ryan. Like, everyone truly celebrated that win together. And, you know, as I know, and Brian knows, and anyone that's been tuned in, Devon's win will come, and it'll be just as special as what yours was. And it showed a lot about the character of you guys and the culture that's how everyone treated it. It wasn't you that got the job done. It was everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, whenever you can get a big money win, you're probably going to get the same reaction. It's going to be emotional because we all know how hard it is to win that show or any show paying a big money. You just never know when you're going to get it again, and you got to enjoy it while you can.
There's no doubt about that. So, Brian, you got anything else on that, or you want to get into Bristol?
Well, last thing I'm going to say about that is, and kind of give you a chance here, Brady, to say a couple more things to those drivers out there who are on the fence, who don't think they have what it takes, who aren't sure if they can compete at this level and didn't sign up for the show or didn't show up when they did sign up for the show. What would you say to them and why they need to be a part of that event?
I think it has a lot to do with the format, and you guys preach it a lot. You only have to beat 2 other drivers. And most people are capable of, beating 2 guys, or it could go a toss up, 9 times out of 10. But when you get to the feature too, anybody could win that show, in my opinion, but I think, a lot has to go back to the format and, making it to the feature. So it's not like you have to run, 15 cars out there and, 10 of them are against you. So that is the one cool thing about it.
Well, and I'll kind of piggyback on what you said there. The format is great, but it's you guys that went out there and executed at such a high level and put it all on the line. Obviously Friday night was intense. But you guys collectively, when I say you guys, the guys that have ran King of Ohio and tried the format, have really made the format successful. You guys aren't looking for other ways around it. You're not looking for hand-me-outs. You're not doing anything. You're literally coming there with a mindset to compete, to win that weekend, or you're simply not going to be in the feature, and you're not going to win the Derby. And, I think it's a hats off to you guys. We don't get a ton of people at that show registering for the highest money in the entire country for a reason. And but the people that we're getting are such high caliber people. It makes the show. I mean, Nobody talked about. Do you even know how many cars actually showed up, Brady?
Not exactly. I think 29-ish maybe for the King class. Does that sound about right?
That's 29. Okay. Nobody's talking about it. And the fact that we could walk away from a show and nobody talk about there's 29 cars just shows the caliber of competition that you guys are willing to display.
Yeah, and our mindset is to win the show, but there's only one way to win it, and you got to win the heat, and we definitely don't want to go through the consi because you're only taking one, when there's 6 or 7 out there. So that's an even harder battle.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, watching those consis, there's no way I would rather go that route than win versus 2 cars in the heat. There is no way. I mean, those were really rough. And if you make it through the feature through a consi, dude, I mean,
those are features in itself.
Oh yeah.
Well, every single
one. And the heats are too. The heats are
there's literally 9 features. We had 9 features with you guys throughout the weekend. And early on when we had the format, we heard a lot of, hey, just take 2, just take 3, just take 5, put us all in one. I'm so glad that through the years that we stuck to our guns, because the fans that are coming, the fans that are watching, we did unbelievable pay-per-view numbers, and obviously the attendance was up, but it's all showcasing. It feels like it all came together, and this was combat motorsports at the peak. This was not a demolition derby anymore. This was literally a killer be killed combat motorsport, and you guys, I'm telling you, hats off to you guys. You have to come out on top, which obviously means you get all the money, all the glory, and the title of king. But man, what an event! What a performance by you and everybody else that weekend.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So moving on, you have formed what I guess we should talk a little bit about the docuseries. We'll get into that here in a second. But moving on, you guys have formed a freaking super team, and I call it a super team for Bristol because, I mean,
it is
literally. Let's talk about this. So you guys went out and got Brauns and Hinens. Okay, so you know what comes with that. It'll be specifically Joey Braun and then Jeremy Hinen.
Yep.
The Brauns have dominated Ohio for 15 years.
Right.
The only people to beat them have been Hinens.
Mm-hmm.
And the only ones to even give them a run for their money have been you guys. Right?
Yeah, we're definitely excited. Yeah.
So you guys form this team. I mean, Brian, it's a super team, right? Like,
I mean, Dustin and I have, being in our positions, we get a chance to see the names. We get a chance to have the conversations. And look, it's not any disrespect to any other team that's coming or formed. But the names, when we see names like Devon and Brady Allen, Joey Braun, and Jeremy Hinen on the same team, it just puts a smile on my face. I'm like, that's gonna be something to watch. That's just gonna be really exciting. So
yeah, we're definitely excited, and I don't need to say anything about the Brauns and the Hinens because everybody knows how well and good they are, and they perform at a very high level. But we've never ran a team show together, but I think we'll probably figure it out real quick.
And I think we're all going to be on the edge of our seats waiting to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the King, and even before that, what's the preparation been like for you guys for Bristol and the conversations that you have as a team?
Well, so after the King, we took a week off, and then we're going to try and run a couple county fairs, but we're going to start on our Bristol cars here next week. And, that's gonna take a long process, but, they got to be dialed in, just like they were at the King. And, we're excited to start working on them. And, I know the Joey's car and Jeremy's car are going to be dialed in too. So just looking forward to the experience.
How did the conversation, we have to know this, how did the conversations go to start this team? How did you, I probably heard, people knew that you guys had a team, but I probably heard, and Brian was at least 6, 7, 8, 9 teams maybe that were seeking these guys, these specific guys, or talked about them to us that said, hey, look, I want either a Hinen or a Brauns or a Braun or multiple Brauns on a team. How did you guys get them?
We're pretty good friends off the track. And, we had conversation of, first off, trying maybe to have Dad and Uncle or Dad and Ryan on the team, but that's just too much work for 4 cars and to maintain them. So we had to look elsewhere. And, the 2 guys that popped in mind are, the Brauns and the Hinens. And, for the Brauns, it's very hard for them to build 2 cars after they just built 3 for the Bash and maintain them at Bristol. And the Hinens are kind of the same way. So we just kind of all, put it together and asked each other, and, it worked out. And yeah, I don't know, it formed, and it's great. So we're looking forward to it. That's for sure.
Now you guys are all in a side where there's a possibility that I think a team could have all wagons. Is this something that is happening? Can you speak to this?
I think you'll just probably have to wait and see. How about that? Keep you on your edge. Yeah,
good
keep
try,
you on
Dustin.
Right.
Hey, I'm as curious as everybody else, I think. And I think everyone would want me to ask that question for sure. I don't know. And heck, I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what keeps people talking, and eventually you'll find out. But my lips are sealed.
Now, I mean, we're gonna have to see a little bit of content, before then. So maybe we'll get to see it drop in some content.
Maybe a 74 Chevy front bumper, because that's what we can run in the class. How's that?
Well played.
Yeah, no kidding. Bristol, man, you guys got a chance to go down there. You got to experience it. Walk through the tunnel, go over the track. What's that place mean?
Watching it on TV is very cool. And, growing up thinking, we're never going to run there or have a chance to be there. And then it's all coming true. When we went there this spring, it's intimidating. And it's once you're down in that valley a little bit, I don't know. It's hard to explain, to be honest with you. It's very, very cool. And it's going to be even cooler when, all these derby cars show up and things are going to be full. So I don't know. I think that part of the experience is what I think a lot of us are looking forward to, and just being in the venue.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that haven't quite experienced what Bristol is. Maybe they haven't been there. A lot of people certainly haven't been on the track, right?
Right.
And walk through the gates. It's one of those things that, I don't want people to be like, man, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. Like, look, it's as special as a place, as a motorsports facility, it's a Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's the last great Coliseum with the gladiators. They have a sword, as a trophy, that they give the winner. Victory lanes on the second story. You get to share it with the NASCAR legends. We were just there last weekend, and we got to experience it all again. And it's such an unbelievable place. We want as many people to experience this atmosphere as we possibly can.
Yeah, and the TV definitely doesn't do it justice. When you watch, all these NASCAR races on the TV, it's definitely a completely different feel when you're there, and it's definitely a better feel because it's quite amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, can't preach it enough. Like, look, and by the way, if I don't know who's tuning in, but we are very limited on VIP tickets. So that's our trackside seating that we are offering that will give you pit pass and obviously to get you into the event. But we're only bringing in X amount of bleachers, for the infield pits. So a lot of that's being taken up by the drivers and their pit crews. So the fans, there's only X amount available. And I think last time I checked, Brian, I think I made a post earlier tonight that we're under 30. So there's not a lot available. Now, I will tell you, you don't have to sit VIP. VIP is an upgraded ticket that, there is 160,000 seats around there that are going to have great views too. So, you don't have to purchase a VIP, but if you do want that, like, you got to get on it now.
Yeah, definitely. And, to come see it, this type of an event, this caliber of competition with, this guy that we're talking to, Brady, being a part of it as well. The drivers list for our Pro and Pro-Lite divisions is just crazy good. And, if you're wondering, man, I'll just stay home and watch it. If you can make it, this is a typical pitch any promoter is going to make or anybody's going to make to come see the show. But I promise you, like, I really mean it. Like, I really mean you want to be there. We're working all kinds of different things to be able to provide the best quality overall entertainment. And that's not just the actual competition itself, but, to make it worth your while for all 4 days to be there. There's just all kinds of things we're going to try to do. And, that information will continue to come out as it's developed, but I don't know. I don't know. Look, I don't know if you're saying it ain't worth it, I don't want to go. I'm going to go here instead or whatever. Look, you're making a mistake, and
you've fallen off. Dude, you've fallen off your rocker. You bumped your head one too many times.
Yeah, here.
There's not an event going to be like this in the country. It's just not. It's not going to happen.
No.
There's one Bristol. Getting back to Brady, there's for the first time ever, we are literally pulling the entire nation in teams of, not just one division. It literally took 2 divisions to get the quote unquote best of the best across the entire nation. Because there's just that many good teams. And, to see all you guys on the track at one time, could you imagine this first round matchups of Caddy Nation versus SRDB, of Bob Whitaker's team, Rick Clark's team? Have you guys thought about any of that, Brady? You guys know the list.
Yeah, but I think it doesn't matter who you draw because the competition level is going to be extremely high. And, each team is going to be just as hard to beat as the next team. And, that's what you get when you pull all these guys together and, have 2 different divisions. But, and that's what we like and that's what we want. We want, to be at the top of our game and be the best that there is. And, in order to do that, you got to beat these guys. And definitely looking forward to the challenge, but I don't think it matters who you draw because it's going to be a battle in, round 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, you could have dream matchups with any of those guys or any of the guys on the list, 1 through 4 rounds. Like it could be in the second round, 3rd round, 4th round. It's really going to be an awesome weekend. I hope that we just can do it justice in terms of, the giving you guys the stage that you need and perform on, because I know you guys are all going to bring it, and it's going to be really fun to watch. So, you got anything else, Brian?
No, I just would say, number one, Brady, thank you so much for coming on here tonight. And you're a classy champion. Your whole family is just really good people, and I've enjoyed kind of getting to know you guys a little bit more and talking to you. So thanks for doing it the right way, first and foremost. And then just for all the fans watching out there who are either joining us now or going to watch this video down the road, we're going to be coming out with some information here shortly with respect to Bristol. Some things that we're pretty excited about. There's going to be new developments often. We are full bore, fully focused on Bristol Motor Speedway Demo 1, October 3rd through the 6th. And, we're going to be bringing you all the information that you could possibly ask for, and probably a lot that you don't even care about, but we're still going to bring you the information. So thanks again, Brady. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys having me on, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk to me. And apologize again, the camera didn't work, but you guys don't want to see my face anyway, so it's all good.
You got a face for radio.
That's right.
It's all good. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's it. Episode 40 of the War Room. Brady Allen, your 2024 King of Ohio. Congrats, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.